With Batman Caped Crusader hopefully returning to our screens this year, here are 10 villains I want to see in Caped Crusader Season 2.
I'm frightened. This whole city's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Number 1. The Joker. So we know that the Joker will be making an appearance in this season, after seeing his brief cameo in the Season 1 post-credit scene. The producers have already stated that this will be a very dark take on the Clown Prince of Crime, taking it back to his earlier appearances in the comics, where he was less about the pranks and more about the scheming. A murderous, sinister version of the Joker. I'm very excited to see what they have in store. Now, as far as we know from Season 1, there doesn't appear to be any link between Harley Quinn and the Joker. Harley Quinn was one of the villains they redesigned to give a totally different take on the character. If anything, I can actually see them linking her with a different character, and that is... Number 2. Scarecrow. Die-hard Batman fans may be familiar with the script for the unproduced fifth Batman movie from the late 90s, titled Batman Unchained, or sometimes known as Batman Triumphant. In that, a mentally unstable Jonathan Crane joins forces with Harley Quinn, who in that script was actually written as the Joker's daughter. Crane manages to work out that Batman is really Bruce Wayne, and attempts to drive him insane and have him thrown into Arkham Asylum. With Harley being a psychiatrist, I think her and Crane together would be really cool. And we know from Season 1 that she's still around, leaving it open to a future appearance. And I think they could do something really great with a 1930s style Scarecrow too. You could even show a backstory where perhaps he's a child that grew up on a farm and was always frightened of the Scarecrow in the field, then later mastering his fears and using the clothing from the same Scarecrow he was always petrified of as a child. Number 3. Professor Pig. We know from Season 1 that they did like to use some lesser known villains like Onomatopoeia and Gentleman Ghost, so I fully expect them to use at least a couple of lesser known villains in this series too. They did the exact same thing in 2013's Beware the Batman, which featured Professor Pig. With that being an out and out children's cartoon made for Cartoon Network, they were obviously very limited with what they could do with the characters. But with this show being streamed on Amazon Prime and intended for more mature audiences, I think it would be great to revisit Professor Pig in a much darker way, similar to the version we saw on the Arkham Knight video game. Number 4. Deacon Blackfire. Another lesser known villain who made a cameo appearance on the Arkham games and very rarely gets used is Deacon Blackfire. First appearing in the 1988 comic Batman the Cult, Blackfire is a manipulative, power-hungry religious cult leader. Again, another character I feel could work really well in this 1930s setting. He forms an army of homeless people in the sewers beneath the streets of Gotham. He also manages to temporarily brainwash the Dark Knight, which could continue the potential psychological theme of this entire series. Number 5. The Court of Owls. Speaking of cults, the Court of Owls quickly became a fan favourite since their creation in DC's 2011 comic reboot, The New 52. A secret society of Gotham's most rich and powerful, running things behind the scenes and using their talents as assassins to carry out their dirty work. Although they did feature in the animated movie Batman vs Robin, as well as the Gotham Knights video game, I still feel it would be cool to see them again. Fans are constantly calling out for them to appear in Matt Reeves' The Batman trilogy, which I think would also be a perfect fit for them too, after seeing the events and the general tone of the first movie. Number 6. Deadshot. Though Deadshot has made several animated appearances over the years in various different series, it's always been in his red, yellow and silver costume. However, with this series being set in the 1930s, I figured it would be pretty neat if they gave us the original Deadshot design. First appearing in Batman number 59 from 1950, he wore a tuxedo, domino mask and top hat. He actually turns up in Gotham as its protector, trying to compete with Batman. Commissioner Gordon was so impressed with Deadshot, he actually builds a bullseye signal to go alongside the bat signal. Eventually, Batman deduces that it was all an elaborate scam to take over Gotham as its only hero, so then he could become a crime boss. They could easily turn this particular comic story into a very interesting episode. Number 7. Black Mask. Although again we have seen Black Mask appear in animated form before, as well as the Arkham Origins video game, Black Mask is another character I'm always happy to see more of, and I think it'd be pretty neat to see this version of Batman facing off against him. Number 8. The Riddler. Another character which would work well with the psychological theme I mentioned earlier, although I feel like they would have to do something quite different with him, as we've already seen plenty of the Riddler in various forms of media over the years. In the 2004 animated series The Batman, Riddler was one of the most drastically redesigned villains on that show, so perhaps they could do another different take on the character, but something that would fit into the 1930s world. Number 9. Mad Hatter. A character who I think deserves to be in another animated series, a perfect chance to have Jervis Tetch as a hat shop owner in the 1930s Gotham, where just about everybody wore a hat. But of course he plants his mind-controlling device in the hats to make regular people commit his dastardly crimes. Number 10. Hugo Strange. Another villain who likes to brainwash, so continues with the psychological theme. Plus he is technically a Golden Age villain, first appearing way back in Detective Comics number 36 from 1940. Strange is a mad scientist who is obsessed with Batman's true identity. He also creates the Monster Men, who are mind-controlling zombies. Hugo Strange actually features in Bruce Timm's Batman's 75th anniversary short titled Strange Days. If you've never seen this before, I highly recommend checking it out. It is quite literally a Golden Age Batman taking on Strange and his monster. Apparently Bruce Timm had always wanted to make a 1930s Batman cartoon, and you can see how this short basically served as a precursor to what would go on to become the Caped Crusader, with Batman having the same DCAU Bruce Timm trademark look, but with the Golden Age inspired batsuit including longer ears and shorter gloves. So that's my list of villains who I'd like to see in Caped Crusader Season 2. What about you? Who do you think would work well in this 1930s Golden Age Gotham? Let me know down in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching, and if you don't already, don't forget to drop me a like and subscribe.